How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we are seeing a little bit of a pullback. A rejection of our EMA and crypto is pushing up. Right now, they are acting slightly inversely, so we will have to see if that does maintain. Remember, usually they do, but there are times where they do act more correlated. Our stochastic does want to pull back, RSI wants to pull back, VWAP is trying to push bullish, that yellow wave, which will push momentum further up, that blue wave, which can give money flow strength to help give a trend reversal and push us up. But if that VWAP continues to flatten out and weaken here, we could see it roll over and bring momentum and money flow lower, which would cause a further sell-off. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are rolling back pretty good. We have been warning we could see a bit of a sell-off, watch for a rounding top, and we are seeing that right now. Our stochastic is dropping, we do have orange above blue, RSI is dropping as a result, momentum is pushing down with bearish divergence. VWAP does have lower lows with lower highs, so we're in a bearish trend, bringing momentum and money flow lower. So if that VWAP continues to push down, momentum and money flow will continue to pull back, and that could end up making dominance weaken. That would be positive for our altcoins because that would mean we could see our altcoin season. Remember, if dominance is weakening and the market is going up, that means altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. Over on total, our market cap of our altcoins, we did try to break that 300 EMA. We need to break that and hold if we're going to continue further. If we see a red candle here, that could be a rejection of a bullish cross, and that could give us further bearish momentum. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP does want to remain bullish, momentum is trying to gain strength, but with the VWAP pulling back, and momentum is starting to round. Watch if that VWAP breaks bearish. If it does, momentum could pull back, and then money flow would start to pull back as well. Over on the 4 hour, we are trying to push forward. We are getting higher highs with slightly higher lows, or slightly higher highs with higher lows. Sorry, said that backwards. We do want to push forward. I would watch though because this could start to create a rising channel if we're not careful. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is trying to push up, but if stochastic breaks down, RSI will follow. VWAP is pulling back, momentum wants to round, and money flow is trying to break bullish. If that VWAP can break and hold above that neutral here, getting a higher low with higher highs after, then momentum could push up, money flow could gain strength, and we could continue forward. We would need to break above this blue and yellow EMA in order to see that happen. If we reject these EMAs, it's likely we would round away and see further bearish momentum. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is rounding, RSI is pushing up, VWAP is remaining bullish very barely. So I would watch if we can bounce off neutral, making a higher low. We have a slightly higher low, and then follow it with some consistent or higher highs. Momentum could break bullish, money flow could continue to bounce, and higher time frames could push up. That would give our altcoins a push forward, so that does look positive. Over on the 1 hour, we are coming back up. Watch for a retest of our 250 gray and 300 black EMAs respective. If we can break those and hold above them, then we could see a bullish trend that would push us further up. That would give those higher time frame strength. Remember, lower time frames give higher time frame strength. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP does want to push bullish, giving momentum strength to round. If that VWAP and momentum can continue up here, money flow could break up, and we could start to see higher time frames gain strength after a few hours of bullish momentum. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are kind of whipsawing all over, so we did drop down and fill our gap below, but we gapped in doing so. This is more of the ideal scenario here because this does set us up to push up and fill 2 gaps ahead of us, and then continue forward, making a higher low, and then continuing forward. So if we can get that higher low with higher highs, breaking that 69K, then we could continue forward and see a run up. However, I would still watch if we reject our 61 or 65, then it's likely we could end up pulling back to that 52 still. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is pushing down, momentum is rounding, and money flow is pulling back, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 4 hour, we are trying to push forward. We kind of whipsawed around. RSI is flat, stochastic's pushing up, momentum is trying to round forward, so that does look positive. If that VWAP can break for a higher high, then we could see momentum push up and money flow could gain further strength. That would help strengthen the daily and push us further. And as futures does lead Bitcoin, that could help push Bitcoin up. We did fill our gap on the 2 hour, this local one here, so I would watch. We do have a gap below us, so there could be a slight retracement before we try to push up. RSI is pushing up, stochastic wants to gain strength. VWAP is trying to make a higher low, so watch if we can get higher highs. If we can, momentum will push up, money flow could remain bullish, and then higher time frames will gain strength, pushing us further up. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is starting to pull back. We do want a round, watch that close. RSI is pushing up, momentum is breaking bearish. VWAP is getting a lower low with this lower high, so the bears do have control of the 1 hour. If that VWAP does not break bullish and hold, momentum will continue to drop, money flow will break down, and that would lead us lower, so I would exercise caution. We are trying to bounce after breaking our EMA bands, so we want to stay in this EMA band and break above it if we're going to push up. If we see a rejection from this EMA band, then that's where we could push to our 57K again. Over on Bitcoin, going to be very similar. We do have a bounce off that 57.1. Stochastic is rounding, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is starting to round, watch for it to break, momentum does want to round, money flow is pulling back, so I would exercise caution overall. Over on the 4 hour, we are struggling to hold above EMAs, so we keep hitting them, then we keep pulling back. Watch if we can hold above these lower, the blue, yellow, and green. If we can hold over these three, we could push up, but if we reject them, then we will likely push to that 57, potentially breaking. Stochastic does want to round. We are seeing stochastic weaken overall. RSI has the same thing going on. VWAP is pulling back. Momentum wants to round. Money flow is bearish, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 2 hour here, we are trying to get bounce. Hopefully this could make a slightly higher low. Then we could push that 300 EMA, break and hold for a higher high to continue forward. VWAP is trying to stay bullish, momentum wants to push up, money flow is indecisive, so watch that VWAP close. It needs to break bullish and hold if we're going to push forward. Over on the 1 hour, we are trying to get some sort of a double bomb where you have a drop, rise, drop, and then another rise, so watch if we can break and hold that 300 EMA here. If we can, we will push up toward that 63. However, if we hit that EMA and reject, that's where the bears are going to gain their strength. Stochastic does look like it wants to push up, RSI is pushing forward, momentum does want to bounce, VWAP is trying to break bullish. Watch if that VWAP can get higher highs with higher lows. If it can, momentum could push up, money flow could gain strength, and we could see that break forward. However, if that VWAP gets a lower high here and then rounds for consistent or lower lows, momentum will remain bearish, and we could invalidate that double bottom possibility. Over on graph for the daily, we did try to push our 316 support resistance. We are kind of right on that border, so we do want to push and break. Watch if we can bounce and hold. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is bullish but pulling back, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is gaining strength, but watch that VWAP. If it breaks down, momentum and money flow will lose strength. Over on the 4 hour, we do have somewhat of a rising channel that could be forming here, so I would watch this rising channel. Remember, is a bearish pattern that can end up breaking you down. Rising channels are more of a bearish pattern. They sound good, but everything that's good for you isn't always good. We do have 3 touches to the top, 2 to the bottom, so if we push to the bottom, we would likely see our break. If we do not see the break on that 3rd break, or touch to the bottom, then we will continue to bounce forward, we will gain strength. But if we do see that break, watch for the retest of the pattern and the rejection. That's how you do pattern trading. Our stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is trying to push down, money flow is pushing up, momentum does want to gain strength, so we do look positive, Over on our 2 hour, we are trying to break and hold that resistance area. If we can continue to hold, that will be positive. We need a higher high with this higher low. Our stochastic is rounding, RSI wants to push up, so watch them close. VWAP is trying to remain bullish. We do have a higher low. If we can break for a higher high, then momentum will push up, money flow will gain strength, and price action will push up on those higher time frames. But watch this 1 hour. If that VWAP breaks down, we likely would see a round away. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is trying to break bullish. Watch for higher highs and higher lows here. If we can maintain a bullish trend like back here, then we could push forward. However, if we continue to favor more bearish on that VWAP like back here, we likely will continue lower. Momentum does want to break down, money flow is pulling back, so again, watch that VWAP very close. Over on Ankr for the daily, we did push that resistance of that 2673, and we are pulling back. Our stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is maintaining bullish momentum, momentum is pushing up, money flow wants to gain strength, but we are starting to struggle. Again, watch for that rising channel. RSI does want to go kind of flat. Stochastic is rounding. Watch if that stochastic continues to round here. If it does, it will reject that 30. bringing RSI and price lower. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is pushing down, and that money flow does want to break down as well. Over on the 2 hour here, we are rejecting our EMA band and struggling to hold in it. If we see a rejection, we are likely going to push to that 2338, and if we cannot hold that, we have our 2020 next. Stochastic does want to round. VWAP is starting to break down, so I would watch. If we reject that neutral, we will see momentum pull back and money flow would weaken. That would end up pushing us lower. Over on the 1 hour here, we are trying to push into our EMA band, so watch if we can break and hold. Right now, we are struggling with several EMAs. Stochastic is trying to get a bullish push. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP does want to break bullish. Momentum does have a green dot. So if that VWAP can stay above this neutral area, that yellow wave, we could push forward. However, if that yellow wave rounds away, getting a weak high, we will want to watch out for some consistent or lower lows on that VWAP. If we see that, that's where we could get that rejection to bring us to that lower 2338. Over on XRP for the daily, we are trying to break that 57 resistance area. We are struggling, so I would watch. Much like the rest of the market, Stochastic does want to round. We do have orange above blue. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is starting to break bearish, so watch that close. Momentum is nowhere to be found right now, so watch that VWAP. If it pushes down, momentum will round away and bring money flow lower, and that could end up giving us a trend reversal if that prolongs. Over on the 4 hour, we are starting to reject EMAs after getting our EMA bullish break, so I would watch. If we see this EMA band cross back under, we could see some further bearish momentum. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is starting to pull back. Momentum does want to round, and money flow is pulling back. So overall, we do look like we're losing some steam here. Over on the 2 hour, VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows. That's a bearish trend. Momentum does want to round. As a result, we do have a green dot suggesting that VWAP wants to break bullish. But if that VWAP does not get a higher high with higher lows after getting a push to that neutral, we will see that VWAP reject, push lower, and then that would bring price action lower and start to weaken those higher time frames. Over on the 1 hour, we are struggling with our 300 EMA. Remember, that's a critical support resistance area, that black line. If we cannot break that 300 EMA, then it's likely we could round away, pushing down to our 54 support, possibly breaking and pushing around that 48 support area that we have had. Stochastic does want to push up. VWAP is trying to push forward. Momentum does have a green dot. So if that VWAP can stay above this neutral with higher highs and higher lows, momentum could push up and money flow could gain strength. However, if that VWAP makes another weak high, just like back here, and then we favor bearish just like back here, we could see another leg to the downside. So last but not least, unless you have some requests, we have ALGO for the daily. We are pushing that green EMA. Again, watch if we can break these lower EMAs and hold. Otherwise, we could end up rejecting and push it down, making lower highs and lower lows. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is starting to round away, so watch that VWAP very close. If it breaks that neutral, momentum will start to round and money flow could reject, and that would bring price action lower. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a bit of a rejection of our yellow EMA, much like the rest of the market. So we are struggling with these 3 EMAs pretty much all over the board. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is losing strength. VWAP is bullish, but it's pretty flat, so I would watch it. If we break and get another low like this, that could end up snapping us back down. Momentum is bearish, so if we do see that VWAP break, it would give us more potential for further downside, possibly pushed into that 1032. Over on the 2 hour, I would watch for this to become a rising channel. Remember, rising channels aren't good. They do break you down, unlike their name suggests. Our Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pushing up. VWAP does want to pull back. Watch for a lower high with lower lows from here. If we see that, we could break that neutral. Momentum would round and money flow could break down. That would start to weaken those higher time frames and start to make us break down. Over on the 1 hour, we could be making a long upper shadow, which shows that bulls tried to push us up, but bears are stepping in to push us down. Momentum does want to break down. VWAP is trying to push forward, but we did try to push forward before. If we see another test where we get a weak high, followed by a stronger low, I would watch, as that would bring momentum lower and cause money flow to continue to sell off, weakening the 2 hour and starting to weaken those higher time frames to push us lower. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have